You've truly done it all. As you look back on that road to get to where you're at right now, the journey had to be really fast. One of the quickest journeys that I've watched. What's it feel like right now to be in your position?
Feels like I haven't done enough, Kenny. To be honest, I have so much more I want to do. I'm missing the Daytona 500. I'm missing the second championship. I'm grateful for all the success I've had, Kenny. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really hungry for more. I
Yeah.
really want more. I want to be more than what I am today. And maybe that's just being greedy. I don't know. I read a lot, try to understand those things. But, I want to be a successful team owner when I'm done driving. I want to be a part of the sport until the day I die. And, I feel like I got a lot left to do. But I am proud of where I've been. I'm proud of the people I got to work with as much as anything else. I'm just amazed that I had those opportunities. I couldn't have been successful without any of them. Every one of them was such a critical role for me where I feel like I learned something from. But I mean, I guess I feel like, maybe to answer your question, glass half full.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more room left to fill the glass up.
So when I first really laid eyes on you, I was at Robert Yates Racing, and Ricky Rudd got hurt, and I think you know where this story's going. Sometimes it's very hard for us to understand people. And I was very lucky that day to be sitting in Robert Yates's race shop, and I was taking over for Ricky Rudd because he got hurt. And you come walking in with a checkbook like this.
Yes, I did. Yep.
And that's what I use to this day. We're business people. So you come walking in with that checkbook, and I thought, damn, look at this guy, man. He's on it. Brad's like me. He probably welds and bump steers his car and builds his shocks. What were you doing that day? Now, this day was way before you become a NASCAR champion. What were you doing that day?
That would have been, I don't know, probably June of 2007, if I had to guess. Might have been a little later. Might have been, Ricky got hurt, I think, in August. So it was late summer 2007. Yeah. And my career was struggling. And when I say, I don't mean that lightly. I mean, my career was on the ropes. And at the time, my family business was gone. It had been sold off.
What was your family business?
Well, my dad had effectively a speed shop that made its way into being a NASCAR team. And when he got sick and when my uncle retired, there wasn't enough stability there to run the business. And then that was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of that business. And so they kind of put me in some way out on the streets. And I had to take odd jobs in racing, spotting for people or whatever it took, working on cars, tire guy. And eventually I got to where I ran into a couple of people who said, hey, I want to run an ARCA car. Will you help me? And I said, yeah, I'll start a company and I'll run the car for you. You buy the car and we'll go. And next thing I knew, I had an ARCA team, and this was 2007. And we needed cars. So that's how I got to Robert Yates Racing in 2007. And I would go to the test with the ARCA team and try to learn. And while I was at the test, I would, soak it all up. And eventually it helped spur my career. I've always been a whatever it takes kind of guy.
Yeah. And
when my driving career fell flat on its face, probably middle to end of 2006, I had to be resourceful, and I was able to stay in the sport and reboot my career about that time.
You're so mature and analytical. You remind me a lot of Jeff Burton. You both are great race car drivers. As I look at your family, you're the baby, but you act like the grown up. Where did that come from?
I don't know. My wife says the same thing about me, and I don't know what that means.
So I'm proud of myself. I recognize that you're very analytical.
Yeah, I guess I read a lot. I study a lot. I love to study. I hated school. Absolutely hated school.
Me too, because I wanted to be at the racetrack.
I wanted to be at the racetrack, and when I find something I love, I just sink my teeth into it and don't let it go like a dog, And racing was that for me as it was for you, and so I consume everything I can on it. I read everything I can on it. I read things that aren't related to racing that I think will help me be better in racing. And that's just who I am. And I guess it's really out of my passion and desire to be successful that, I just double down on every area that shows success. And if being more analytical and being, more well versed on certain things makes me better in the car, I invest in it.
So we've laid the platform. You're the fifth child. You're the baby. You struggled. Your career was on the ropes. But just like in the movies, one hot night in Memphis, baby.
Yeah.
So we were all. I mean, listen, you're going to straighten me out. This is the Kenny conversation.
Go ahead.
It's a conversation, so you can straighten me out. So one hot night in Memphis, I think it's somewhere in the middle of the summer. I don't know when it was, but we're all watching, and all of a sudden, this Brad Keselowski kid gets a break, and you're fighting for the win.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Dale Jr. gets all over social media. I mean, was that the pivotal point? Was that the point that put you on the map in NASCAR as a race car driver?
Yeah, I always hesitate to say there's one moment in anyone's career that defines them, but I think there are moments that define them more than others. And for me, that was one of the biggest breakthrough nights of my career. I was stuck in mediocrity. And I wasn't breaking through. I wasn't getting any attention from any big teams. I wasn't generating any opportunities. And that night changed everything for me about generating opportunities. Now I still had to capitalize on the opportunities that came after that, Kenny.
Yeah.
But that's what really got me my first huge opportunity was that night in Memphis in 2007, and it came about in an odd and peculiar way with another driver getting suspended, Ted Musgrave. And I don't know where, and I've said this to Dale Jr., I don't know where my career would have gone without that night or without Dale Jr. calling me. Maybe I would have still figured it out. I don't know. That's one of the life's mysteries. But I'm so glad I didn't have to find out. I'm glad I got that opportunity. And when young people come to me, whether it's racing or anything else, and they ask for any life advice, that's probably one of the biggest things I'll tell them is put yourself in position to get an opportunity.
Right.
And when you get that opportunity, you got to be a dog on that opportunity. You got to sink your teeth in like a squeaky toy and don't let go. And you got to fight and growl and kick and scream and make the most of it. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that.
I understand. I deal with this with my brother Rusty, who's great, and Rusty's theory is always screw the past. I'm worried about the future. He always said that. He still says that. And I get that. But I can't gloss over that you're a 2010 Xfinity champion with 39 wins. I mean, that's no joke. What did you learn in the Xfinity series? And here's the reason I asked this question. 2 years later, I mean, are you kidding me? 2010, you win the Xfinity champion. In 2012, you're a Cup champion.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. So what did you learn in the Xfinity series that catapulted you so fast?
Well, I mean, it's not one thing, it's everything. I learned everything in that series. I learned
Yeah.
how to build a successful NASCAR team. I learned how to drive the car, how to manage the races, all the people that I would need to be successful, how to draw the attention from the car owners I needed to have the resources. All that came from running the Xfinity series. I couldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for that series.
Yeah. So let's go to this day. I think we've kind of laid the platform out. So what we try to do on the Kenny conversation is inspire people, let them know that you and Ricky Stenhouse or Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick, everybody was junk when they first started their careers.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, and there's this vision out there that, this new thing, they call it daddy's money. Daddy's money didn't exist in our days. Daddy's money was, we're going to melt lead from tire weights, and that's going to be our lead. So we've laid the platform out. So here you are right now, and you're 11th in the points. We know what you did at Penske Racing. We know that you won 35 wins. You did it all. You did it all at Penske. It could be said that after Rusty, after my brother Rusty was at Penske, it could be said that you elevated Penske better than anybody, quicker than anybody. But now you decided to go to Jack Roush. And boy, he really played you in, straighten me out. But I guess he calls you up one day and says, I need help. I'm getting older. I need somebody that's like me. How did that conversation go with Jack Roush asking you to take over his organization?
Well, I never really spoke directly with Jack, but I spoke to his team. And his team said that, Jack wanted to do this and that he was interested. And then they made a pretty aggressive offer to me. And there was mutual interest. I think all along the way, I've been looking for an opportunity to be a team owner. I'm very thankful for my time at Penske. Certainly an incredible opportunity. Was able to take that and run with it with some great people, with great resources that Roger Penske supplied me. But ultimately, my career was getting pretty stagnant, and I wanted to continue to grow, and that wasn't possible there. And that's nobody's fault. I mean, it just that's how life goes sometimes. And so I was looking at opportunities, and I had a couple different people actually ring on my kind of doorbell, so to speak, and say, "Hey, would you like to do this? Would you like to do that?" And this was the strongest opportunity I had. It came at a unique time in my life where I had the youth and experience to where I could still be a driver and an owner, which is kind of the sweet spot of life. And I felt like I could be successful. And then, of course, the NASCAR Next Gen car coming together at the same time. And so in light of all that, it felt like the right timing, right opportunity. I knew it was going to be a step backwards in my career. There's no question. But I'm a firm believer that sometimes you have to humble yourself and you have to take a step or two back before you can take 3 or 4 forward. And I'm just now getting to a spot, and you brought it up, sitting at 11th in points. I'm just now getting to a spot where it looks like I'm getting close to even to where I was at Penske. And it's, a year and a half later. It'll probably be another year before I get to where I can really say that firmly. But we're making a lot of progress, Kenny, and I'm super proud of that. And in the end, I'm going to be better for it. I'm going to own part of a team, hopefully a significant part of the team, and be able to be a successful race car driver as well. And what a dream come true that is for me. It's a kind of a life goal.
Yeah, I want to get into the bolts and nuts of picking the speed of the team up over the last year and a half. But before I do, it seems like the great ones, like we just got done interviewing Joey Logano, and he's now getting involved in business parks. We look at Tony Stewart, who is part of Stewart-Haas. It seems like this is the road. That you want to stabilize your future. When you looked at like a Tony Stewart, did you do this on your own, or did you look around and go, hey, there's examples out there of drivers, being played into other teams to be owners?
Yeah, Tony Stewart was definitely a huge, I think, motivator for me, seeing what he did at Stewart-Haas Racing. And I don't want to speak for Tony. But for me personally, the most impressive thing Tony Stewart's done in his whole career was not a Gibbs. It was not an IndyCar. It wasn't any of those things. It was becoming a part of a team that wasn't successful at the Cup level and winning a championship with it. That to me is his biggest career accomplishment. He might not feel that way, and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but going to Stewart-Haas and making that team, what was probably a 25th to 30th place team, a championship team in 4 seasons, I think that's super impressive. And that is more than being a good driver. That is a lot of pieces coming together, and being a good car owner, being a good leader, being a good man. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for it. He gets a lot of credit for being a good driver, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but this is a much bigger accomplishment for him than that. And I want the same.
Yeah, he called an audible, though, Brad, in my opinion. He was able to call, some of his people that he was successful with at Joe Gibbs. So let's go now to the things that I know that you want to talk about, maybe. So here you are. You came out of the gates this year. Okay, last year you get the wheel bearings greased. Last year, you're
yeah, that's one way of putting them.
Yeah,
we burn a few out.
Yeah, you got the wheel bearings packed last year. So now you go to Daytona this year and you win the Twin 150. Big deal. Now you're showing up in the top 10. You're building the speed of the car. Do you feel like this new next gen car has helped or hurt your progress?
I'm pretty neutral on it, to be honest, Kenny. I don't think it was either. I was hopeful that it would accelerate it, which it really didn't. Our biggest challenge wasn't the car itself; it was getting the people and the positions and the authority and the accountability all to line up. And that would have been the case whether it was NASCAR Next Gen or the current car.